Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
How many days you got left in the year? Anybody know? 58. 58 days. So we have a 60-day sprint to finish out this year, and to obviously make sure that we can get to a win. For most people, right, 2020 has been a disaster. For us, we're on pace to have one of our best year ever, right? Wow, we grinded very hard during the shutdown. We pushed very hard. Obviously, we had some help from interest rates and marketplace, people coming in town. But the reality is we can end this the best year we ever had and move into 2021 with massive momentum. But it's all going to come down to the sprint. The same thing you probably saw election, right? You saw a lot of momentum towards when? Yeah, if you looked at Donald Trump did 5 rallies a day, right? Coming up to it. Massive sprint. That's what winners do to the finish line. We got to do the same exact thing here. But 58 days, right, is left in here. So I want you guys to be able to get where you can track that. Like how many days left to win. Obviously, be some time that comes out. But what's been the main theme of 2020 so far? Like, give me some thoughts. And there's no right answer to this.
Are you looking for positive or negative?
The reality.
Reality?
Heightened. What else? Trigger. I'm looking for the words here. Fear, all right.
Scarcity.
I'm looking for chaotic, which all these are part of chaotic. Would you guys agree 2020 has been pretty chaotic? One day we got freedom, one day we don't. One day we go out to eat, next day we can't. Right? One day I can go this place, next day I can't go that place. One day I'm wearing a mask, one day I'm not. The reality is everything about life has changed this year into a place that's a lot more chaotic. And so the energy, right, and how we operate overall is really kind of, the daily energy is really kind of operating like this. If I can kind of show you guys, it looks like this chaos of how we're going in. You guys mentioned that. This is all filled with what? The fear, the anxiety, the uncertainty, all these things that we have. It really comes down to the chaos, right? The chaos of the daily grind, right? Would everybody agree that every client we have is a little more difficult? Every deal we have is a little more difficult? Why? Because the vibration and energy is really broken down into something like this for everyone right now. Right? There's just exterior forces that are coming in that are shocking the emotional aspect, right? Every single part of everybody's life has been shaken up. And so what's happening is everyone is having this energy that's broken down looking like this. And really kind of overlaps in that aspect. And so what I want you guys to focus on for the next 60 days and to be ready for January 1st, 2021, is I want to get us to a place that looks like this. Obviously, it'd be more of an exact circle, but you get my point. Right? This is something that energetically, same exact person, same exact situation, but the one on the left is chaos, chaotic energy, reactionary energy. I can see it in you all sometimes. The one on the right is something that we call flow. Who can tell me about flow? Anybody heard about that before? What's flow mean? There's no right answer to this, but if I'm walking in January 2021 in a state of flow with momentum, what's that look like? What's that mean?
Your order of operations in place and it's not impacted by outside factors.
Say that again. That's a great example. What is it?
Your order of operation is in place and you're not being impacted by outside factors.
Yes, my order of operations in place, meaning I have order amongst chaos. And that's purely due to the inside factors, not the outside factors. And so what's everybody tend to do? I see it in real estate all the time. You get brand new, get a couple deals going, some go sideways, and what happens?
Reactionary.
Your reactionary like a bouncing ball off the walls. People can see that, they can feel that. Your energy's not there, your certainty's not there, and obviously that doesn't sell very well, and life becomes very difficult. You guys with me on that? And so the one thing I want you to do is I want you guys to be able to get to a place where we can enter flow. And how do we do that? I want you to ask yourself a question here. Daily, and this is something that we're looking to focus on because I just noticed this with all the chaos going on, there has to be a way to eliminate the chaos. And so how do we start eliminating the chaos? We got to eliminate it in our life that's creating chaos. Anywhere, in our business, in our life, whatever it is, I tend to find that when I do these things, I'm trying to do too much. Right? I'm trying to focus on too many things at the same exact time that's not allowing me to get any of them complete at a high level. And I think in today's society, we're all guilty of that. right? I'm trying to do 16 goals at once. I'm trying to do this part, that part. I'm in all these different groups. And for me, same thing here when I'm trying to create new things. I tend to just get stuck on basically in a form of chaos, and my life looks like this. And so in this last sprint for the last 58 days, right, I want you guys to have a question that you write down, look at every day. It's important. And that question is it necessary? What do you think that means? Like, obviously you get the sentence, but how does that apply to you? What do you think that means? Amanda, what do you think that means?
Is what necessary?
It could be anything.
Do you need it?
All right, good question.
Something I can control.
Kat, what do you think? What are you hearing?
Is it necessary? Well, is it something I can live or live without?
Is it something that's going to better your life?
Yeah.
Something better in life?
Greater good.
Add value, create value.
And here's the thing. I'm going to need you guys to ask that question every day. Because what's happening is, as we have these final days, how most people are operating, I'm my marker here, this last 60 days, right? They're operating in a place that looks like this. Every single day. This is their arrows, right? All over the place in regards to what they're doing. And that's, again, chaos and survival. I'm in coming to work every day, I'm in chaos and survival. My personal life, I'm in chaos and survival. My relationship, I'm in chaos and survival. And here's the thing, I've been to a place where this was like an addiction for me. In a weird way, I was addicted to the chaos and survival because I felt like I was getting traction, but in reality, I wasn't getting any traction. I was in a bunch of shit that didn't really get me anywhere. I'm treading water, trying to survive, but what happens when you tread water for a long time? And then what happens? Eventually you drown. And so that's the reality of how most everyone's operating. And I need you to take a real, look at yourself and say, look, how am I operating daily? Am I really smooth in my operations? Am I smooth in how I'm showing up and doing the right thing? That's why I was so focused on our keys yesterday. You can only have 5 or 6 keys before 9 o'clock in the huddle. The rest, guess what? This is what that's the result of. This is a visual representation of how you're showing up. You can like or not like it, but that's just a fact of it. And if I just copy and paste my last week's keys and this week's keys, I'm still showing the same way. And so that's a way of pretty much, again, chaos and survival. Overall. Right? And so the world's so chaotic right now, you need to identify what's necessary right now. Now it's back to your question, I think, of what? This is in all areas of life, specifically in business and in real estate. So I wrote down my notes. The world is so chaotic right now, you need to identify what's necessary right now. And so the key, right, to winning the rest of this year in 2021 is one main thing, right? We talked about before, these are the directions, these arrows here, right? I want to have it where it looks purely like this. And my focus is very driven, right? And it's driven on winning. Winning business, winning life. And so give me an example. What's that like if I talk about that in the world of real estate, what we do? Because this is not a new thing, especially newer agents.
The simplest is, am I trying to process earnest money or do all these other random things in service of a deal before 11 o'clock, or am I getting my outbound dials out to protect future business instead of just trying to manage that garbage?
Yes. And this and all this stuff. And I watch it over and I'll tell it to you guys 150 times. And I'll sit downstairs, 10 o'clock, working on some earnest money shit, right? Or whatever it is. And so the reality is, or a home inspection, or whatever the thing is. Because what wins the game right now in a world of chaos is the person that can have the most laser focus. Period. This is super simple shit, right? But the reality is, it's a great reminder. And it's just making a decision to do it. I know I should probably eat better. Everybody knows I should eat better. But guess what they don't do? They don't eat better. When it comes down to the line of making that decision, do I get the chicken salad, right? Or the cheeseburger, whatever it is, they go to the cheeseburger. For the short term, right? Fix or whatever it is versus the long-term gain. And so the reality is, where can I get more laser focus in this and ask myself, right, is this necessary for me right now? And specifically, is it necessary for me to win right now? And so how we get the winning for the last 58 days is doubling down on our laser focus in what brings me future business, aka new business, right? Why is that? Because I want to focus on momentum for January 1st. Now, when the masses hit the holiday brain, they're right here, and your clients will be that way. And so you got to be the one that's laser focused here on winning. And so when people pull off the pedal, right, doesn't mean I got to work 10, 12 hours during this time, but I still can be laser focused and get the same amount of stuff done in the same amount of days. Does that make sense, you guys? And so how do I do that? I create the schedule. I create my targets, and I create the schedule that matches my targets. And the third most important part is to actually stick to it. Because that's the key to winning 2021 overall on my part. All right? And so I'm going to help you break that down to kind of a few different things for everyone to help guide that. But I want you to ask, everything you do right now, is this necessary? So if I'm doing phone calls for new business, guess what? I know that's necessary, right? But if I'm doing something else, and if you want to add that, is that necessary right now? And that's going to be the guide for you for the next 58 days. Because if I can do anything that can help you win the rest of this year and win 2021 and bring massive momentum, it's help you find massive laser focus. Because we all know what to do. We have the tools. We have the leads. We have massive amounts of leads. We have massive amounts of opportunity. But this is important. Like, same thing. There's a bunch of people who aren't here today. People that miss huddle. People that, in all this stuff, right? This is what their life looks like. It's not ironic that the results look the same exact way. And so the key here is, how do I get control of this chaos in a world that's very chaotic right now? And it takes massive discipline, massive ownership of everything I have in my life, right? Good and bad. And it takes, obviously, massive focus that I got to stick to. Basic stuff, but super important, right? So I'm going to show you something really, I guess, important to build on this. So the one thing to focus on, right, my things, is it necessary? I'll abbreviate. Number one, you guys focus on during this thing for everybody, is health. Why? What's that?
Steers the ship.
Especially when?
When you have to work.
In a world of COVID-19. Most important thing we can do right now is protect our body. Put our body in the best state it can be, the best health it can be, the best, obviously, immune system we can possibly have, because that's what drives everything else. It also drives your discipline, which follows in everything else, and also drives your energy, right, your productivity, all this stuff. I eat better foods, drink lots of water, all this stuff. What happens is the fogginess tends to go away a little bit. And that's something important for us to focus on. That's very, very important for us. Right? So I'm looking at, hey, what's this laser focus for the last 60 days or 58 days? The health. Through the time that most people screw the health up a lot. Right? They let 2 days cause a massive loss in their health, because what they do? It's not the Christmas and Christmas and Thanksgiving dinner that gets them. What is it? They let the 2 days bring their standard down. So they tend to eat bad for 30 days instead of 2 days, because their standard's allowed to go down based on a story about it being the holidays. This is interesting to watch, right? I've always just kind of wondered the same exact thing of what we do is we tend to let the thing slide. One of the most powerful things about 75 Hard, right, that you guys do is that you're 0 cheat meals. The minute you allow for 1 cheat meal, what happens? A second, a third, a fourth, and fifth, and sixth. And obviously, we can all enjoy it a little bit. But the reality is, I want to make sure that I'm holding the line, and I'm not letting my standard down. And so I talk about health part. That's the important part as well. Number 2, focus on spirituality. Spirituality, obviously, connection to God, things like that too, purpose. But all those things here, what's my mental health like? Am I growing myself? Am I listening to positivity? Am I growing my mindset, which I'm going to teach you guys a little bit more on this in a minute. But which way is the scale tipping for me? Because that leads to number 3, which I think is really the most important, but it determined by 1 and 2. Number 3 is money. The reason number 3 is because 1 and 2 drives that. If I don't have the energy, I don't have the stamina, I can't show up for 8+ hours or 10+ hours and get the job done, guess what? Number 3 doesn't happen. Unless I have Adderall or something like that, but that's fine if you got that too. But the reality is most don't. And so we got to focus on that and create that from the inside out. Spirituality, for me, is really sustainability. If I'm not happy with it, fulfillment, and I'm riding that roller coaster, that's how people show up on fire one day, and or let's say 1 week, and then they disappear the next 3 days to the next week. I see it over and over and over. People have massive momentum, then they disappear. Massive momentum, they miss 2 days, and they build back again. And so that's the key part. I've got to build a strong spirituality mindset aspect to make sure I'm sustainable. That's the number one weakness of people here who have great talent who don't make it, is they don't have the mindset to get in there. Period. Number 4, focus this year. Love and family. Why is that important? That's the why. Right? That's the why. Unfortunately, families don't operate too well without any money. Just is the way it is. But, obviously, families don't operate well without love and connection either. And so I want to make sure I'm focused constantly on this hierarchy of what these things are to make sure I can help build on that. Number 5, only other thing I focus on is attributes that serve the previous 4. So, the reality of that is I want to make sure I have attributes that serve the previous 4. What that means is that's my laser focus. That's it. I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but the reality is the consumption here, 90% of my time and focus needs to be focused on what? These 5 things. The reality is I got to make sure I'm laser focused going into the last 58 days. Because the masses, my competition, those around me are going to be what? Disengaged. Going through the motions, probably putting in the same hours in some cases. But they're not engaged hours, it doesn't matter. I can spend time with family but not be engaged. I can be spending time here working but not be engaged. Does that make sense, you guys? And so I'm not saying you got to double down and work extra hours. I'm just saying you got to make sure that your focus is defined and used to the best ability for these last 58 days to build massive momentum in 2021.